Hello folks, in this one we're looking at some good reliable used cars under 10 grand, but they're all small cars. They should be relatively cheap to insure and to run. Some of these are probably fairly obvious choices and some perhaps you weren't too familiar with. We're starting off with the Toyota Yaris, probably the most obvious one to start with. 1.33 is the one here, the dual VVTi icon. You can get this as a manual or an automatic. The auto is the MMT, I think, which is the multi-mode transmission. It can be a bit jerky at lower speeds. It's not the best thing in the world, but it is fairly reliable. 5 grand gets you 77,000 mile 2015 model manual. This one 35 quid a year to tax it, 44 mpg. Insurance is not going to be terrible. Not a bad place to start. Then let's have a look at the Honda Jazz. This one's the 1.3, which I think the 1.3 is probably the most reliable. The Jazz is a fairly reliable car anyway, but the 1.3 is a good one to look for. Something I will show you on a Jazz is that lots of them don't say Jazz on the back, they say Fit. And if they say Fit on the back, it means they're an import, a Japanese import usually. Just be a bit careful with those because generally you won't get service history, or if you do, it's in Japanese and probably not too many of you speak it. And of course, during that import process, the mileage may have had a little bit of a haircut. It's not impossible. And you may find things like the speedo still in kilometers instead of miles per hour, and just a couple of little things that might be slightly inconvenient. This one is nearly 10 grand, but you can get them for much lower than this. But this one's got 18,000 miles on it. 2016 model, manual petrol. It's a one owner car. Always good to go back and look at the mileage and see if it's been fairly consistent when it's a one owner car, and not that it just suddenly had 4 years where it hasn't moved. But I would think that was probably quite a tidy example. Wouldn't be at all surprised if that came with full Toyota history. Lots of these are owned by elderly folks, and a lot of elderly folks look after their cars quite well. This one's a manual, but you can also get a CVT automatic. CVTs are not the most amazing things to drive, but they tend to be fairly reliable. Just check on the Jazz though, make sure you get the box up to temperature, do lots of slow downs and then pulls away. Just go through it a lot to make sure everything's good. Next, we've got the Hyundai i20. Bit of a rival to the Fiesta, really, the i20. It's sort of Hyundai stab at a Fiesta. This one's got 78,000 miles on it. It's 5 grand. It's a 2016 model, manual petrol. They also do an automatic. That's a torque converter automatic, which is pretty brilliant, really. Torque converter is one of the best automatic boxes you can get, in my personal opinion. But it does eat into the fuel economy. So officially, the fuel economy on this averages out at 56 mpg with 35 quid a year for tax. The auto will probably return at least 10 mpg less than that, or less than the manual would. Obviously, we're looking at WLTP figures rather than real world figures. Just bear in mind that the auto is a bit thirstier. And folks, when you look at cars on Auto Trader, you will see that there's a history check on here. But one of the things they don't really look for are salvage auctions and one or two other little bits and bobs. Get yourself a VCheck. There's a link in the video description. That is an affiliate link. I've worked with VCheck for years now. I used them before I ever made a YouTube video. I think it's the best value for money check out there. You'll see lots of YouTubers all promoting the same search, and it's because they pay very well. But VCheck, I think, offers great value for money. The lowest one is 3 quid. The top one is a tenner, and that's much less than you will find with some of the competition. And here's an example of a car that's been through a salvage auction. You get the pictures from the salvage auction whenever they're available, and you can see where the damage was, how bad the damage was. Some of these will be correctly classified as Cat S's on the insurance database, but lots of them aren't because insurers don't have to register them on the MyAfter database. It's completely voluntary for them. So even though you go onto Auto Trader and tick the box saying I don't want to see anything that was a previous write-off, you may still buy one unknowingly. 10 quid will put your mind at ease. So well worth a go. Link in the video description. Kia Rio is next. The 1.25 Ecodynamics SE Euro 6. £7,650 for this one. It's a 2016 model with 34,000 miles on the clock. A lot of these cars, you can get them right at the top of the 10 grand sort of limit that I've applied on this video. You can also get lots of them for much less than that, and much will have to do with obviously the year and the mileage on the car. This is a one owner car, which is nice to see. I'd also hope that's got lots and lots of service history with it. It says full service history, but remember, you always want to see receipts as well as stamps. And if there are only stamps, don't worry about picking up the phone, ringing the dealership on the stamp and asking if they actually know the car or not. Because, believe it or not, some dodgy car dealers have a drawer full of stamps and they can buy the books on eBay. 7,650 quid gets you that little Kia Rio. Let's look at the numbers on it. 20 quid a year to tax, 60 mpg is claimed, so that's not too bad, is it? Insurance group is 3, so that's about as cheap as you're going to find anything to insure, and they're actually really decent little cars. Don't forget, with Kia, you get a 7-year warranty from the manufacturer. This one will obviously be outside of that now, but if you are buying a slightly newer one, you may still have manufacturer's warranty or some degree of manufacturer's warranty in any case. This is actually on the same platform as that i20 that I showed you before, and you can get the Kia Rio as an automatic or a manual, and the auto should be fairly decent. Next, we've got one of my favourite cars in this video. It's the Suzuki Swift. I think they're brilliant to drive. This is the 1.2 SZ4 Euro 5. Again, you can get it as manual or automatic, and they're both pretty decent. 2 owners, 9 services, new MOT, 2 keys. 5 grand on this one, 2013 model, 41,000 miles. Let's look at the numbers on it. 35 quid a year to tax, 56 mpg, insurance group 9. So it's going to cost you a bit more to insure than something like that Kia Rio, but it still shouldn't be too terrible, depending on your age, postcode, occupation, mileage, etc. Another car that you can get as manual or automatic, this is the Mazda 2 1.5 Sky Active. £7,000 for this, 57,000 miles, 2018 car. One owner, 57,000 miles is above average for the year, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. If it's got full service history, which they say it has, once again, do all those checks on service history. Decent handling on a Mazda 2. It drives sort of better than it should, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The automatic's pretty decent as well. Now, I've got a Polo on here, but you have to be very careful with Polos. I would suggest you only go for one if you don't really like too much of a dynamic driving experience, because the 1.2 MPI, it's called, is probably the best engine to go for, but it's really slow and a bit gutless. But it's the most reliable. Loads of people get into a Polo as their first car, and it's great because they tick loads of boxes. But unfortunately, the 1.2 litre TSI engine had some problems. Timing chain slippage or stretching, all that kind of stuff. This is probably the safer bet to go for, but it doesn't have the most amazing performance. Insurance group 5, 165 quid a year to tax and 51 mpg. But the bad news really is on that performance front, because it's 0-60 in 16.1 seconds. A lot of people will say, well, why does it matter? Like, I'm driving it around town and I'm not a boy racer or whatever. But sometimes when you just want to get away from a junction or a roundabout a little bit lively, 16 seconds. Ooh. Skoda Fabia 1 litre colour edition, Euro 6, 40,000 miles, 2016 car, manual, petrol, 7,650 quid. It's had 3 owners, which I guess is not terrible for a 9-year-old car. They're saying here it's got full dealership service history, inspect, don't expect, as far as that's concerned. And although this is a close relative of something like the Polo, you'll probably find the parts are a little bit cheaper. The good thing with the Fabia over everything else in this video is you could genuinely use it as a family car, and I'll show you why in a sec. Let's just do, no, let's not do that. Let's do the running costs. 20 quid a year to tax, 58.9 mpg, insurance group 3. So that's all amazing, isn't it? 0-60 is 14.2 seconds, so that's not so amazing. But it's got a 330 litre boot, and with the seat stand goes to 1,150 litres. So 330 litres, you know, something like a Golf's like 380 litres. So you're not too far below that. So it does mean that, you know, a lot of people could probably get away with one as a small family car. And we need more small family cars that are somewhat practical. But again, these are available at all budgets. There are loads of them on the market. And the same goes for pretty much all the cars in this video. So if you go to look at one and it's a bit of a dud, don't get married to it before you turn up. If something's wrong, if the service history doesn't stack up, if you get a funny feeling about it, just go on to the next one. There are loads of these cars on the market, and it is a buyer's market. So make sure you buy wisely. Thank you for watching the video. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. The link to VCheck is in the video description. I strongly suggest you use that if you are considering getting yourself a used car. Catch you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.